Guys, welcome to this week's podcast episode. And I've got a fantastic guest for you today, Birgit. And she is a entrepreneur, and she's going to talk to us all about healing, self-discovery, communication, which is really interesting. And I'm really happy to have her on, especially when she's talking about communicating, spiritual communication. And happy to welcome her to the show. So, Birgit, welcome.
Hi, Christopher. Thank you so much for having me all the way on the other side of the world.
Yeah, yeah. No, you're in Spain. I'm in San Francisco. So, kind of, start off by talking about what you do and how you got started, and how the audience can benefit from your presence today.
Yeah, I just discussed I have one foot in the corporate world still in oil and gas, and then one foot in the spiritual world. So it's kind of really polar opposites. I am what you would call like a soul empowerment coach, which is all about empowering ourselves back to, back to our original nature and becoming the best version of ourselves. So it's all about walking back, walking back to our soul, really, the home to ourselves. And rather than allowing for us to be disempowered, because we always disempower ourselves, we listen to the opinions of others, right? We do. And it's like take back control and empower yourself. Yeah, and that's so important to take back the control of your life. And then I am a channel indeed. I do, I'm like this little bike messenger between the here and there, as I say, because I'm Dutch. We Dutch, we cycle a lot. And that's why I always say I'm like this little bike messenger. And then, yes, I am a healer as well. A light language healer. So I always say that's like really funny language. It sounds like gerbil language, but on a conscious level, you're not going to comprehend it because it's the cosmic language of love. And but on a soul level, your soul understands the code just beautifully.
Interesting. So, but because I early on I learned I have people, some mediums and guys, they tell me, I have a sixth sense, and I don't, it's not that well developed to do it professionally, but I kind of use it to kind of hone my decision making, and use and what's interesting is because you talk about light language, which is really interesting. I wanted to ask you what is that, and kind of describe it to us.
Yeah, so I said, and like I said, on a conscious level, you're not going to understand it, but your soul understands the light coach just beautifully, and it sounds like minion language because it's very ancient. I get different beings coming through from galactic to the ascended masters, and people listen to it, and I've had people cry. It's just really, really amazing. I mean, I can give you a demo. Happy to do a demo.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, yeah, definitely. That'll be very interesting for the podcast.
Yeah. So, I mean, we can do it right now if you want. So, is there anything you want to focus on, Christopher? Is there an intent?
Intent. What? How so?
So, it's like for some people, it's like, they want to have that peace in their lives, or it's really about manifesting. And manifesting is great to do as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's or you want to get rid of something, anything really, anything.
Oh, interesting. Let's focus on manifestation. I'm interested in manifestation.
Empowerment and manifestation. I'm going to add that word to it. Okay. So it's really simple. I'm going to ask you just to close your eyes.
Okay.
And just take a very deep breath in, hold it, and gently let that go. And take another very deep breath in, hold it, and let that go. And as I just bring through the light codes for this demo for empowerment and manifestation, just allow for these codes to be absorbed within your whole body and your auric field, your energy field. Okay. They're saying sometimes what we do is we manifest, or we try to manifest, and we don't allow things to flow because we put an expectation on it. And it's all about being in the flow, Tu shimiyamani kiyama tukshimiki ikiyamakuin nikiwa. And just be in the flow and just be. Tasi kiyamanukia payui tuki tasi yamayuni taluya siki amakui takeyamaku takeyamaku takeyamaku. And just be. And whenever you're ready, just open your eyes. That's what light language is.
Interesting. So was this like a being, or because it was really interesting, what kind of language?
Yeah, so this is it was various, but there was ancient Lemurian in there. And then there was a hint of the Starwalker people, and then there were others that I don't always see them. I mean, I can see the form, but I don't know who they are. And it's just, yeah, and I just channel it. I love doing it. I'm very, very humble to be able to do that.
Yeah, and it's interesting how you can do it so just kind of on demand. Some people have to kind of get into this state. What was interesting, because I had a one, he was called I think he was a medium, but he came to my house, one of my houses, and he cleansed the negative entities in there. But he was telling me that, because he said that my ancestry has a lot of protection, and he was saying that some of them were channeling through him, very similar. So when you say things that are allowing to be, what is blocking it? Is it worry, fear? I'm very
good point. Curious. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. There are a lot of factors. So it is indeed, it can be fear, it can be our unhealed experiences. And I always call that a kink in the cable. It's like there's something there, there's a kink in the cable, there's a pothole in our Meridian highway. Yeah, it's been hijacked. And so it's really up to us to heal any issues, to heal any pain that we're carrying around. And we often carry that around, because how many people don't slap these labels on their mind? Yeah, like shame, fear, anger, bitterness, you name it, all these reto-negatives, as I call them. And we should be able to talk about things openly, and that's just society for you. Many years ago, and especially in the 1980s, and I remember that, people were far more living from their heart-centered selves. Yeah, and these days it's all about me, 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 me. It's very much technocratic. Whilst I don't despise social media, it's like, oh, but you have to be a certain way, you have to live a certain way. But look at this person and look at them. No, it's not about them. It's about you. It's really about how you feel about yourself, and that's what's important. Yeah, and I want to backtrack on something that you said about the cleanse, that somebody came to cleanse your house. And I recently went through something where I had a very toxic person in my house, bless his cotton socks. But I had to cleanse it, and I didn't want to sage it. So I'm asking my guides, what do I do? And I said, well, Birgitta, get some hot water, put some salt in it. Doesn't matter if it's kitchen salt, Himalayan or kitchen salt. Put some distilled vinegar in it, or white, distilled white vinegar in it. Okay. And put some drops of sage essential oil in it. I did that. That's how I cleansed my whole house. I wiped everything, and it was really powerful, and you can really smell it as well. It's actually a very nice smell.
Yeah, very interesting. So, kind of, this, how do you, sounds like you're a channeling, and this, how do you, like, did you develop this, or kind of because you're in you're in oil and gas, which is a very logical process engineer, and then you have this. How do you reconcile those two?
Well, I see one as just being my daytime job, and then the other is really the direction I want to head in. But it didn't come to me overnight. It's not like I had a fairy godmother and said one day, you've got all these abilities. Oh, heck no. Oh my gosh, Christopher, I had to go through a lot of trauma, a lot of life experiences, and I really had to figure out how to heal myself. So I did. I mean, yes, I went to healers. I studied many healing modalities, and it's it's been a phenomenal journey. Would I want to have it any other way? All of it again, because I will always say this, I wouldn't be who I am today if I hadn't gone through all that. And it's been from everything from abuse as a child to losing my dad when I was 14, to starving myself, to using drugs, to being bullied in high school, to being assaulted in the modeling industry, being in very dysfunctional relationships. And that's only because I was a broken bird. So what did I attract? Broken birds. And it was like, oh, I wanted to save them. But it's not about that. It's really about any interpersonal relationships, romantic relationships, you name it. Right? We're all reflections of one another. We're teachers of one another. And so when people trigger you, it's like, hey, wait a minute. Why is it actually happening for me? It's not why is it happening to me, because then you're in that victim mode. It's like, hey, why is this experience happening for me? What can I learn from this? It took me a long time to figure that one out. And so for me now, with experiences, it's like, well, you go through it and it's like, okay, all right, I get this, but I'm not putting up with it. And it's also called putting boundaries in place. Very important.
Yeah. What's really interesting is because when I've been, really studying this. I mean, like I said, I'm not on the level of, of you and others, but it's quite interesting because once you start once you start healing and putting boundaries, and then you start to attract, the situations that'll help you, and you kind of recognize the ones that are gonna hinder you, and you kind of avoid that, and it's kind of like, I guess is it karma or is it dharma? I'm not sure what it is.
Dharma, yes.
But yeah, very interesting. Which techniques have you found the most effective for overcoming trauma and empowering oneself?
So for me, it started out with Reiki back in 2009. And that was my saving grace, Reiki. I also tried EFT, the emotional freedom technique. I studied that as well. And it's just so simple, because it's like on a scale of 1 to 10, you have like a trigger or a traumatic experience, and you tap the emotions out of your system. And then you can just talk about it afterwards. And that's the thing, right? Because Christopher, we're all energy. And so we are like master creators, and we can manipulate the energy and we can move it. That's the power that we have within ourselves. And then, of course, besides, I love aromatherapy oils. I really love them. They're so powerful. And so I studied that as well. Meditation, I studied that, but I also do meditation every single day. And it's not like, oh, you have to sit there for an hour. No, it's like 20 minutes. And you can listen to stuff like David G on YouTube. They're like 20 minutes. And that's how you start out. And when you start the day off just right, and you end the day off right. And it's like it quietens our thoughts. It's like our mind goes into vacation mode, for those 20 minutes. And that's just really amazing. And you just reconnect with yourself. And of course, light language. I love light language. And I had it done to me several years ago. And I have a go-to healer I go to. And then I was like, yeah, but why can't I do that? And why can't I do that? And then somebody said, but Brigitta, actually, you have the tools within you. It's like your car is in the MOT. You just need to pick the right tools and attune yourself. So I did. I had somebody, and I said to her, listen, I said, you need to push me off the edge of that cliff. And so she did. Absolutely. I had a workshop, and she did. And it just started to flow, and I haven't looked back since. But yeah, so for me, that is very, very powerful. But I always say, when it comes to any healing modality, you have to do what's right for your soul, what agrees with your spirit. There's no right or wrong.
Yeah. The other question is, because you talked about moving energy, because some people can sense energy, but then you talk about moving the energy. How do you, what does moving energy look like or feel like, just kind of so people can get a visceral sense of what that means?
There's a really black and white example. When you take a shower, Yeah, it steams
Mm.
up, right? And you move your hand through the steam. It's the same thing. That's like energy, but you see it like that. And we are energy. So we are creators of our own little cosmic bubbles, our own little cosmic world. And we allow outer influences to influence us, so to speak. And that's why I say it's so important to take back that control and harness that energy, manifest, as they always say, manifest the correct outcomes. So we are, and that's why we're here. People always say, well, they ask me, well, why are we here? Well, two things. One, to return to that love for ourselves and each other, but also to harness the energy and understand that we are energy. Because if we understand that we are energy, then we can create the life that we desire. Yeah, it's that mindset, that switch in mindset.
Yeah. The other interesting, yeah, because I've like I said, I've a channeler told me once, she said that I can sense energy, but then she said try practicing moving the energy around, and that never really made sense to me because I'm like, how do you move the energy? I'm like, you can sense it, but like, how do you know you're moving it, and like, what can you do with it? It's just kind of,
Yeah.
but
So it's, I mean, many people give the example of having like a bowl of light, and just feeling that in your hand. There is another technique that I really love as well, and that's called grounding. And what happens when
okay.
but it's a little bit different. So there is a different exercise that there is a guy called Jeffrey Allen. He talks about it, and it's really simple. It's where you close your eyes and you just imagine that you're standing or sitting behind your eyes. And I always envision, that there is a room and there's a couch, and I sit on the couch. And it's like you take a very deep breath in and you just sit there. And from your root chakra, you allow a big beam of light or roots to grow. And you go all the way down to the center of the earth. So all the way through the layers and layers of earth. And you wrap that around the core. And there's like a crystal. And you wrap that around. And then you allow for the energy to go back up through your body and out into your auric field. And that is when you're grounded, when you're centered within yourself, but you're also in the present moment. So you're present within your body, but present in this present moment. And that is really important when you start manifesting and creating. How many people do not think ahead in the future? But I want to be this, but I want to move. No, you have to envision as if you've already got it, and then take the steps to get there. Yeah, and don't even think about the past, because the past is not important. I mean, come on, can you breathe in the past? No. Can you breathe in the future? No. But you can breathe and create in the present moment.
Interesting. Yeah, I'll have to experiment with that. Kind of, moving forward, I know we have like 2 minutes remaining because it's really fascinating. And so talk about, people often say they're bad luck or they attract the wrong partner, dysfunctional. What advice do you have for breaking these patterns?
Yeah, it takes time. I recently did. It was less than 3 weeks, but I wasn't going to put up with it. And when you're in such a situation, it's not that you're cursed. It's got nothing to do with that. It's about understanding your experiences, first of all. Why are you going through this? Yeah, it's for your soul's evolution. It's for you to grow from, not to remain in that victimhood, whatever goes on in your life. It's about overcoming and becoming. Yeah, you have to look in the mirror and not blame anyone else for the situation. You have to take responsibility for your life. Yeah. And that's all about hugging it out with yourself and coming to a place of acceptance and eventually forgiveness and returning to that love for yourself, because everyone on this planet is worthy. Yeah. And we always depreciate ourselves. We think we're not worthy. We think we don't hold any value, but we do. We do. And You know,
Mm-hmm.
just like suffering is an option, so is healing. So what are you going to do?
Mm-hmm.
Remain or move forward in your life? Add to that is there is no good or bad experience. There is just an experience.
Fascinating. Yeah, so really, I really got a lot of insights. And so, what's really interesting is, one of the guests was saying like, as you talked about happening to you versus this, they said to take a step back and see how you contributed. Like it's not
Yes.
100%, and how you played a part, and then how can you solve that or fix that, or what perceptions, what beliefs, what values, what energy did you bring to create that situation, because you are also a part of that. So really,
That's a good way. That's a good way to put it. Absolutely.
yeah. um if people want to reach out to you and find out more about healing and channeling and manifesting and how can they follow you and find out more about you?
So I have a website called powersoulhealing.com. I'm on Instagram under and I'm on Instagram under Universal Light Warriors. And then of
Yeah.
course I've got two more books coming out this year. One collaboration and my second book on my time in India spent in the Art of Living Center. And yeah, that's going to be out in October. I'm
Interesting.
excited
I'll have
about that
to,
one.
yeah, I'll have to check that out. And for all the audience, let's thank for coming on and really an inspiring and enlightening conversation. And be sure to follow all the socials, like and follow, and check out the books. And thanks so much for coming on.
You know, having me, Christopher. I enjoyed it.